This is the Danger Close podcast, Beyond the Books with me, Jack Carr. Welcome to the Danger Close podcast, an Ironclad original presented by SIG Sauer. My guest today is my dear friend, John Devine. Now, John was part of the multi-purpose canine program in the SEAL teams, and now in the private sector, trains dogs for private citizens, as well as co-founding something called the Rescue 22 Foundation. That's the shirt I'm wearing right here. And the Rescue 22 Foundation provides fully trained service and support dogs for veterans suffering from the physical and emotional trauma of the battlefield. I'm very proud to be associated with this organization, very proud to be an ambassador for them, and putting a fully trained service dog in the hands of a veteran is just life-changing. So, John Devine, thank you so much for all you did in the SEAL teams, all you do today, and thank you for training our dog Scout. And for those who have followed for a little while, you may know that our dog Scout is a service dog for our middle child who has some severe special needs. So absolutely incredible and life-changing for us as a family. So John, thank you again. And for those listening or watching, if you like the conversation, be sure and leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. You can find John Devine at Devine K9 John on Instagram, also Devine K9s on Instagram, and also Rescue 22 Foundation on Instagram as well. So with that, John Devine.
All right.
John Devine, what's up, brother?
Nothing much. Just having a good time here at SHOT Show 2020.
2020.
Yep.
Dude, it's so good to see you.
Thank you.
So awesome. We have so much to talk about.
I know, huh?
And I'm not even sure where to start this thing. Let's start a little background on you, Devine K9, and on Rescue 22, and then we'll kick it off from there after everybody has a little bit of a baseline.
All right. So my dog life, I'll say, started in the SEAL teams.
Yep.
So it was a program that was kind of a hidden program that not a lot of people knew about. But, after a deployment, I got to experience what the dogs were doing. And I was like, wow, as a new guy, I was like, that is incredibly awesome. I never even knew the SEALs had that, And I just told myself if that was ever an opportunity that I could actually do this, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So immediately after the deployment, put in to try to do it, and I was immediately shot down and said, no, you can't. You're a fire team leader this deployment. We need you. I'm like, all right, maybe someday, maybe it wasn't meant to be, because being a dog guy wasn't my life passion as a kid. I would just want to be a Navy SEAL, want to be a sniper, want to go overseas.
Yeah.
Fight terrorism. But a few months later, a new directive came out. They wanted to expand the dog team by 100%. So anybody that was showing interest earlier immediately got hit up and was like, John, do you still want to go to the dog teams?
Yeah.
And I said immediately to my senior chief at the time, I said, well, how much time do I have to decide? He said, about 5 minutes. Because after that,
sounds fairly typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to go down the list to the next guy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And so I took a leap of faith right there. And that was probably one of the most crucial turning points in my life, really. And that the next day, I was at the dog teams and, a little bit of training, but mostly hazing, where you get bit by every single dog at the team.
Really? How many dogs is that?
So kind of like what you experienced just now.
Yes, I just experienced an awesome bite. Well, first, a bite there. If anybody was watching on video, you can see that, yes, there was a bite suit on.
Yes.
But with a 100-pound Belgian Malinois.
Yes.
It helps. Yes. It definitely helps because my bone didn't shatter. But yeah, it breaks through and gets you pretty good. So there's that, but then that 70-pound dog. Yeah. Like that, I feel like I might have a chance.
Yeah.
Well, 70-pound dog.
Do that times 12.
Oh my
But
gosh.
then also add in the fact that you're actually fighting the dog, rolling around on the ground with him. It's like having an MMA fight with the dog.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Which I incorporated into the third novel, calling you and figuring out what makes sense, what are the counters to this, and all these different things. And that was so cool. I wish I had sent it. It was just been such a crazy year. Yeah. But I wish I had sent the finished product to you so you could be like, oh, you really messed this up. So we'll see. So it'll be a surprise to everybody when it comes out.
I have high hopes because I really believe that, with everything that you've seen, you're going to be able to bring something to the table that nobody has seen yet in books, in Hollywood, in anything, because everything has just been imagination, but you've actually seen some real world stuff that's going to be able to give some flavor to this.
Appreciate it. And yeah, the dog, the bite there was awesome. So I did that before. I did that in maybe 2005, 6, somewhere in that time frame. So it's been a while since I put on the suit and let the dog. I was trying to run through my mind, like, should I get a briefing before this, or what should I be doing? What if it bites me in the face?
That was our safety brief. What if it bites me in the face?
That was awesome. So you're getting 12 dogs to attack you. And so this is, you finished your first platoon. You're going to go to the second one. You get this opportunity. Off you go to the dog team. Tryout is essentially, okay, new guy, put on this suit, and here comes the Belgian Malinois.
And what happens really is guys either say this is not for me, or this is freaking awesome.
Wow.
And I think for me at the moment it was a little bit of both, because I was like, man, am I just going to get chewed on every day? You know, which you do. But you know,
test dummy.
Yeah, and then I went through the the whole process of it really is kind of an apprenticeship that you really have to learn, and then you do go through a handler course. So there's that. You get matched up with a dog. Hopefully you and your dog make it through the handler course and make it through the training and actually qualify to deploy. Because there is a process of, just because you make it through the handler course doesn't mean you and your dog are going to make it to the end.
Got it.
To actually deploy, because a lot of the dogs do get flushed out of the program.
Right, just like they're going through their buds.
It's exactly what it is. They're taking the best dogs in the world, and even the best dogs in the world, not all of them are making it through.
Some don't have the attributes, or there's something that happens along the way.
That's exactly it. And it's not like these dogs just end up in shelters. I'm saying these dogs that don't make it through the SEAL program, they're ending up at other police departments, FBI, other units, things like that may not require all the facets that a SEAL team needs.
Got it.
They need dogs that are heavy hitters, gifted detection dogs, are social enough to work with a team, are good at environmentals, can go in helicopters, loud noises,
Loud noises.
Yeah. And for them, their hearing is way more sensitive. So, the things that the SEAL team asks a dog to do is much more than a typical canine program.
Okay. Got it. Yep. And then, so you go through that. You pass.
Yeah, I go through that.
One of your dogs passes.
Long story short, we started off as the worst handler team at the handler course. Like
I wish I'd known that before you just sent that dog after me.
I know, yeah.
Up on me.
We really did. Like I was, the dog that I got, he didn't really know how to sit when I first got him. He barely knew his name.
Yeah.
It was just, some guys are getting dogs that have multiple deployments already. And like these dogs really are push button, experienced dogs.
Okay.
At the moment, I was given a dog that, we didn't know it at the time, but he had all the potential in the world. But he was just a young dog with no experience. It's very, 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 very green.
Got it.
And we took that dog with the help of all the trainers that we worked with and whatnot. I went through the apprenticeship, the handler course, all the workup for deployments, things like that. And I really, put the time into the dog. I wasn't just putting in the 9 to 5. I would take the dog home with me, continue training, because really in the back of my mind was, I don't want thinking, did I train my dog enough before I deploy?
Yeah.
I don't ever want that creeping feeling in the back of my mind, like, didn't train enough.
Right. Could I have done one more day? Could I have done one more run?
It's just like, I did everything I could. Now the chips just fall where they may, because there's nothing more I could have done.
Right.
And that was the feeling on deployment,
And so my first experience with multi-purpose canine, and I forget exactly what they called them, was fairly soon after 9/11, and it was Afghanistan, and I think it was like an MP type dog or whatever that was, Naval Security Services, or maybe it was Marine or Army, but it wasn't a dog program dog yet. It was like a, I don't know what you would call it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's a great point, because the need that the SEAL team saw, they didn't have that program. This is actually, me being a history major here, I did look back and see the history of the SEAL teams. They actually did have a canine program in Vietnam.
Oh, nice. So didn't they do something odd, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So like it was kind of like an ad hoc.
Something non-SEAlish.
It was German Shepherds mostly.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
I thought there was like some poodles or something that were used at some point.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what they were doing for recreational activities back in the I have no idea. But
that's for R&R.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a morale dog. I don't know. But they did use German Shepherds and things like that for apprehension, going in tunnels, finding booby traps. And this is something that wasn't really passed on. So the program after Vietnam got shut down. Like they just didn't need it. So a lot of the SEAL program, was shut down, and that they didn't need as many SEALs. A lot of SEAls ended up getting out, and even some of them had to get flushed to other rates and things like that when the wind down after the war. So when the War on Terror started, the SEAL teams didn't have a dog program. Yeah. So after a few years of knowing they needed them, because they were augmenting, having MPs that already had the capability.
That's it.
The problem with that is like a lot of these guys were, canine handlers, but they were not operators.
Right.
So it's hard to integrate into a unit. You kind of have like a guy that's in charge of the handler to make sure he doesn't,
That's what we had.
He's where he needs to be. So the handler has a handler.
Yep.
Then the dog has a handler.
Right.
And
I remember the dogs, they weren't, obviously not trained like this. They were. It was a different type of deal. And I remember one guy we were back from a mission one night, and they took the collar off for a second. Like it was I don't know what name. Looked up at the handle like it's on. It was like it wanted to like attack. I distinctly remember that to this day, and it's been almost 15 years or whatever. Yeah. But totally a different deal than what we have today, which is so professional. Yeah. And did we get it from the Israelis, who then brought it over to some of our other units, Army and Navy side, top tier units, and then we got it in the teams after that, or how did that work out?
So I mean, really, there's definitely other SEALs that are going to be able to give you the exact. One of my dear friends that I work with, he was one of the first handlers that was, on the ground for the SEAL teams back in like 2004, 2005 era, right there. That's when like the first handlers for the SEAL teams came on board. Because before that was just augmented MPs and MAs and things like that.
That's it, MA is what I think.
Yep, military police guys.
Master of Arms, right?
Yep,
that's it. Yep. Gosh, I got it.
Jeez, you've been out too long.
I know.
But he was one of the first guys to actually go through the program, and really it was from the ground up. I mean, they were taking influence from everywhere and anywhere they could.
Got it.
But just like anything else, when the SEALs didn't have a sniper school, what'd they do?
Marine sniper school, and then we went there, learned all we could. Exactly. Went to Army one, and then built our own.
Exactly. Yeah. The teams, they build their own. The teams used to have to go to Fort Bragg for all their jump training.
I did.
Yeah, I didn't have to. I was part of your generation. We did all our jumps in 5 days. It was just like, that was it.
Nice.
But the teams built it from the ground up, and they did a really good job with it, and that it became one of the top, multi-purpose canine programs in the world. And other special operations units have used that as an influence for their programs and developed their own now. And now it's like a real thing. Now there's multi-purpose canine programs pretty much in every special operations unit in America now.
Oh yeah, you can't even imagine going down range or going into going on target without a dog.
Absolutely, everyone really does realize the capability that it brings to bear. People always ask me like, "Oh yeah, you're talking bite bad guys," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can," and that is a huge, awesome asset and capability. But this dog can do something that I could never do, which is find an IED. And like that was the most important thing that I trained my dog to do, and kept at it. And no matter what, I was always having to do detection problems anywhere we could.
Amazing.
Anytime we had a break in the deployment cycle or operations and things like that, we'd be hiding IEDs. I'd even have like our Afghani counterparts hide them just so I could keep the smell the same and things like that.
Yeah. I use a line like that in the third novel.
There we go.
I can't wait for you to read it.
Oh, you guys getting all the teasers.
That's it. That's it.
And if you guys were here at SHOT Show, you guys would have been privy to some of the interrogation that was conducted using the dogs.
Yes. I was put to the test. I didn't give anything up. Well, no, I gave a little bit up.
But you gave a little bit up. You might have given up a little more than he wanted to.
That dog was big. I mean, I think I could have handled a 70-pounder, like I said. But oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then we'll do this again when we can come on and maybe talk more about what happened downrange with the dogs and all that sort of thing. But I definitely want to talk about your transition out. Cool. Starting up Devine K9, and then building Rescue 22 and all the amazing things that you're doing with that organization to help veterans with service dogs and how all that came about.
Got it. So really, my transition out of the Navy, really, I didn't get out thinking that I'd be going into dog training and being that being like my calling and my profession. It kind of started with people just asking me for advice because they just knew that I knew what I was doing with dogs. They knew me as the dog guy. Guys would have problems with their dogs, and they'd come to me. And sometimes guys would come to me with problems that I didn't know how to fix. But I'd be like, how would I fix that? So I'd do my research. I'd talk to other trainers, watch videos, read books. And I'm like, all right, this is how we're going to tackle this problem.
Yeah.
And then I'd fix that. And then before you know it, as I got out, I really went through this phase that I think a lot of veterans go through where they're like, what do I do with my life? What am I even doing? At the time, I thought I was going to be going to law school. I was like studying for the LSAT, things like that, applying to schools.
Nice.
Yeah. But I started doing this dog training thing on the weekend at a local park in Balboa.
Okay.
So I just did like a free dog training thing. Come ye, come all, bring your dog. However screwed up it is, just bring it, we'll work on it. And it ended up growing into this thing where weekly it became like a huge crowd where first it was like a couple people, onesies, twosies, threesies. And then it was like 20, 30, 40 people at a time showing up until I had to make multiple days because it was like overcrowded. And and people would be like, I want to hire you. What do you charge? And I was like,
how much you got?
I was like, I don't know. I guess I have to get a bank account for my business and a name. And then, Devine K9s wasn't really like this.
Perfect. Yeah. It's perfect. I love it. Yeah.
It wasn't really like this, I kind of needed a name for the LLC for the bank account.
Right.
And I was like, Devine K9s.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of stuck.
Yep. Yeah, well, often I do that in the books. I come up with a character name in there, and I'm like, I'm going to change it later.
Oh, yeah.
And then it grows on you, and you're like, and then it becomes the name of the character.
You know? And from there, it just grew, you know, and I started helping people out that wanted protection dogs. And protection dogs are something that, at the time on deployment, I thought I was like inventing this, because my dog happened to be very, very social, meaning that he was very good at working with other operators, with people. He wasn't so good at working with Afghanis, but besides that, he was great with working with everybody else.
Got it.
But he was so social that I was like, wow, what a great idea this would be if you had a dog that had some level of this capability and yet was social with your family. I was like, I thought I invented it. Once I got out, I realized this has been going on for a long, long time. But in the moment, I thought it was like a thing I invented.
Yeah, go with it.
Yeah. But then I got into doing that, started doing protection dogs, things like that. The service dog thing started happening when I had friends of mine that were going through, you know, just really, you know, a tough time transitioning out of the military, and really needed like a battle buddy, and just needed something to take their mind off some of the things they had going on. So I started just training dogs just to give them a dog, you know. And even through like our circle, we've done things like, you know, generating money to make it happen, because at first I was doing this just to do it. And when you're doing it on your own, you can only do so many, you know, because like you still need to eat, you still need to pay bills, you know, you still need to take care of yourself. So I could do like a dog, I could do like maybe 2 dogs a year, you know, training for other veterans. But then when, you know, outside funders came in and were like, hey, we believe in this too. What if we generated money? Could you do more? I was like, well, yeah, then I actually could, you know. So then that ended up happening. And I eventually got introduced to Eric Innes, who's a, you know, also former Army Ranger handler, who is really having a very similar story to mine. You know, just coming from the Army, he was helping his friends out. His friends were, you know, guys that needed dogs were coming to him, and he didn't have the answer, so he just made the answer. You know, very much similar to what I was going through on the West Coast. He was going through on the East Coast. And after meeting, you know, Angela Connor, she really put the pieces together in that, you know, she organized everything, handled the administrative things for the nonprofit, and really put the pieces together so that I could focus on the dogs, Eric could focus on the dogs, and Angela could focus on all the financials and keeping us in good financial standing. So that, I mean, that's such a huge part of what a nonprofit has to do, is to keep your numbers in order. Which, you know, I basically, you know,
it's hard to do. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, exactly. I've never even balanced a checkbook, so, you know, thank goodness for phone apps, because.
And then now it is that the state of Florida is using Rescue 22 as like a pilot program. Is that the best way to say it? Do some research on service dogs for veterans? Yeah,
there's something called the PAWS Act that Governor DeSantis is put into effect that is helping to fund an initiative to do the clinical research that's going to prove definitively what service dogs are actually doing for veterans.
Got it.
So there's other things involved in it, like there's some horse therapy, some other alternative therapies, but a large portion of it is what service dogs are doing for veterans. Because before, there's been, you know, theory, and there's veterans that are case studies that are like, yes, this dog has helped me immensely.
But you need the metrics, and you need the people, and you need to be able to show it in a way that that makes sense to people, to be able to justify funding and all the rest, right?
Absolutely. So like they're measuring, you know, everything from like their cortisol levels to like, you know, to being interviewed with, you know, psychiatrists and things like that to really judge their progress on what is actually happening.
Got it. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And before we had the dog chomp me here in the booth that shot, you were talking about one of the dogs that you've trained for someone whose respirator might go down at night. Talk to me about that. Like, how do you train a dog to do that? And that dog is trained to alert if that respirator turns off at night, in which case that veteran would die.
Yes. So this veteran, he's a quadriplegic. He does need the assistance of a respirator. So if that were to malfunction or shut down, he could perish from that. So, and he has to live with that. You know, he does have a caretaker that, you know, watches him and things like that. He always has a caretaker, but he doesn't have any control of that. You know, a lot of the caretakers he's had numerous. So no hate to any caretakers taking care of him right now, but I'm saying that in the past, he has had caretakers fall asleep on the job. And he knows that if a caretaker falls asleep on the job and misses this opportunity, he's not waking up.
Amazing. So every time he goes to sleep, he knows that might be the last time.
Yes. And that's, you know, the feeling he has. So Ollie, you know, we see him over there. You probably can't see him with the camera, but right off screen, we got Ollie over there. He's a retriever dog. That's kind of a mutt we picked up in Visalia. He's been trained for multiple different tasks. One of the many tasks that he's trained in is that if the respirator shuts off, the respirator gives off a little signal. It gives off like a little beeping sound.
When it's going off.
Yes. So when that beeping sound happens, that triggers Ollie to go into the behavior he's being trained to do, which is to alert emergency services. Wow. So he has a little special phone that the dog can actually actuate, and it calls emergency services down the street.
That's incredible.
They can come and help Max.
Jeez, and so that's a one-off. That dog is specifically trained for that, and then you do other dogs that are specifically trained for other things, depending on what that veteran is dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie himself is being trained for numerous tasks. That's just one of many, because that's a life or death task that he's dealing with.
Right.
Some of them are enabling him to have a more independent lifestyle.
Right.
So Ollie's also trained to be able to retrieve a stylus. That way, Max can type on his iPad.
Amazing.
He can type on his phone. He can call people. He can FaceTime. He can. You know how many different apps you can use with just a stylus? It's amazing. When I was over there and I saw what Max could do with a stylus, I was actually amazed.
No kidding.
Yeah, he could do more. He could do more with a stylus than I can do with my thumb. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It is amazing. But to get a stylus is another thing. He has to be able to get access to it. The dog is trained to be able to go retrieve the stylus, put it right in his mouth.
That is incredible.
Yep.
My God. And that's and so you're doing that for multiple veterans across the country, and Rescue 22 is helping. And is it just you and Eric doing that, or you have other trainers now that are doing those sorts of things, also help growing this thing, building it, so you can help support more veterans?
Right now, it is evolving in the sense that Eric and I were the first trainers in the scene, but we already have other trainers starting to come on the scene to help out, and a lot more are getting more involved.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And then once this thing happens with Florida and they get all that data, then they'll take that and hopefully it'll be a model for other states to use that the same program.
Yes.
And use it for our veterans in those states.
That's our hope.
Awesome.
We really want to be not just a service dog nonprofit, but because it really is such a Wild West industry. There's a lot of places doing it, but we want to be a model and a beacon of showing how to replicate this all over the country, because the need for this is so extreme that we're only making a dent in the problem.
Yeah.
We're just making a dent. But if we can make a dent that is visible enough that everyone can see, other people can probably pick up the pieces and do exactly what we're doing in other states.
Got it. And so talk about the name Rescue 22. Where did that come from? So
Rescue 22 is one because every dog that we bring into our program right now is a rescue. So even Ollie, he came out of a shelter in Visalia.
Wow.
So he's a rescue. 22 is for the statistic that we're losing 22 veterans a day. That's 22 too many.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And is this the majority of your time now is focused on Rescue 22 and these kind of dogs, or you're still doing the dog that just almost bit my arm off?
Currently I have my hands on a lot of things in dogs, and I think really learning different areas helps you in other areas too.
Got it.
So I am doing protection dogs, detection dogs, behavior modification, obviously the service dogs. So we're doing a lot of different things, and I enjoy it all. I really do. I really enjoy every dog teaches me something new.
So I love when I'm seeing guys get out or transition and find that next purpose in life, find that next mission, because as I was getting ready to get out, I was fortunate enough that I was able to take a breath. I wasn't taking guys downrange anymore for my last couple of years in, and I knew I was getting out, dropping those papers. And so I got to look around and really figure out what was important to me, but also see other people transition and see a lot of people struggle and not be able to identify what they were passionate about, what was going to give them that next purpose, that next mission as they move forward. And so I love seeing. So you're doing things. Yes, you're doing all these things with dogs. But also, you're an example to all these people that are getting out, that are thinking about, hey, what am I going to do next? You're an example for someone that found that passion, and which gave you a purpose and a mission, and it's incredible. So I love seeing that. And it can be anything. There's a couple guys out there doing watches, like this watch right here.
Yeah,
it's a CIA guy made this. He's passionate about watches. We have, of course, Resco stuff in the SEAL teams. We have guys that get out and they find something they're so passionate about. Just like you're passionate about dogs, I'm passionate about riding. This guy's passionate about watches, whatever it is. But finding that passion that lets you transition to that next stage of life and not be defined solely by what you did before, have it be a part of you, obviously, and hopefully make you a better person moving forward, better husband, better father, whatever. But not to live back there in the past. So I think that's really important to identify what you're passionate about and then go get after it. Using that foundation that we have in the SEAL teams to help propel you forward. So I love seeing people that are passionate like you about this sort of thing. And of course, personally, I'm so thankful and fortunate that we know each other. And I talk about it too much, but it seems appropriate here that you're training a service dog for my middle child who has some severe special needs, and but for you to be able to figure out like what a dog could do for him, things that we never even thought about, and it's just incredible. So thank you for that. And offline, my wife wants me to ask you, how's it going and how's the dog and all that stuff. So we're gonna do a
really
whole.
Good.
I gotta talk about all that with you offline here. But thank you so much for doing that. I mean, trying to track him if he happened to, I don't know how, but if he did somehow get lost, like track him down and then do all these things, it's absolutely incredible. So,
peace of mind.
Yeah, just amazing, and I sincerely appreciate that.
No, thanks so much. I mean,
never be forgotten.
You know, every veteran that gets out, it goes through the struggle of finding their next chapter. You know, and I would tell anyone that is struggling out there, I would say, your passion can be finding your passion. It can be that, and it might not be the thing you thought it would be. You know, and if you're really just caught somewhere in a bad place, start with helping somebody. Start with helping one person, and just see where that leads.
Nice.
You know, that's what I did, and it led to this. So
it's soon you have all these people at Balboa Park, and oh man, dude, that's amazing. I love that story. That is absolutely incredible. And then if someone's listening to this, veteran, and maybe they don't even think a dog would be something that a service dog would be something that could be helpful to them, and they haven't even considered it.
Yeah.
Who's it for? Who's a service dog for? Is it just for somebody that has a physical impairment that needs help like that, or can it be more?
It can be more. I mean, there's a lot of impairments that aren't physical. You know, PTSD is a real thing. And, you know, a lot of guys are struggling with it. And I think the stigma behind it is starting to get erased. So guys are becoming more comfortable coming forward to be able to actually say something. Because most of the guys that are coming from the teams especially, they're the last guys to ask for help. They really are. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to erase that and be like, don't be afraid to ask for help, because a lot of people have already. And you probably need it more than most. You know? So if you're out there and you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out, you know, to any organization that's doing this. Because really, there are organizations doing this. Right now, we have a backlog of about a year.
Wow.
You know, because like I said, the need is so great.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, we're trying to make a huge dent to inspire anybody else that's going to be doing this too.
Yeah, and it can be just a companion dog, someone that's there.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, you can get emotional support dogs, service dogs. You can get a PTSD service dog. We do service dogs for physical impairments, for mobility assistance, for a whole host of things. But really, I mean, the imagination is the extent of what you can train a dog to do to help your life. I mean, incredible. Some guys are getting dogs that are trained to wake them up from nightmares, things like that. You know,
no kidding.
Yep,
that is amazing. And so, how do people find you with either Devine K9 or with Rescue 22, or how does someone go about reaching out, or even just inquiring?
Sure.
Like, hey, I'm struggling. I think maybe a dog might help, but I never really considered that before. Is this something that might work for me? How did someone reach out and connect with you guys?
Well, to find me personally, you can find me at Devine K9s, Devine K9 letter S. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. You can also find rescue22foundation.org. That's the website. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Facebook. We're really active. We like to engage with our audience, things like that. We do a lot of questions and answers. Do a lot of live streams. But really, if you're interested in getting a dog, you can reach out, put an application in. I will say, like, as of shooting this right now, we're about a year out from our backlog. But, you know, we do get to every application, and we do talk to every single person. And if you just want to reach out for questions and stuff like that, do not hesitate to reach out.
Amazing. Bro, thank you so much for doing this. I know we got to zip out of here. They got somebody coming in behind us at the Blackhawk booth. But thank you to Blackhawk and Eagle Industries.
Absolutely.
For doing this. And and the dogs are wearing Eagle harnesses on there?
Yeah, I actually like those things. I've been teaming them for a few months now, and I really like them.
And they look cool.
They do. Yeah, I've been using them. I've been putting them to the test out in real world. So
amazing. And thank you so much for all your help on Savage Son, like reaching out with all the dog questions and all that stuff. I'm so excited to get that out there, and
awesome.
And hopefully I didn't mess up any of the dog stuff too much.
Got it.
But I'm fired up to get that out there, and fired up for you to read it. I don't know if I'm going to give it to you ahead of time or have it be like a surprise when it comes out, because I'm super excited for you to check that out. So, dude, thank you so much for all you do with Rescue 22, what you do for my family, and what you've done for the country, brother.
Awesome. Hey,
thanks
so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for tuning in to the Danger Close podcast, an Ironclad original presented by SIG Sauer. For more on John Devine, you can go to divinecanines.com. You can also follow him at Devine K9 John on Instagram, or you can go to Devine K9s on Instagram as well. Be sure and follow Rescue 22 Foundation on Instagram, and go to the website rescue22foundation.org for more on how you can support that amazing organization. If If you liked our conversation, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. You can find me at officialjackcarr.com or jackcarrusa.com for the merch. My next novel, In the Blood, is available for pre-order and is coming out this spring. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Until the next time, take care out there. Stay strong. Be safe. Keep fighting.